All right, today we're talking about a very important topic that'll help you reach and keep young families in your local church. And we're talking specifically about your church service, your Sunday morning church service. One thing that you can do, one word that will help you very much to keep these young families coming back. And it doesn't have anything to do with, fancy music or any kind of compromise or any type of, hipster kind of stuff. It's just plain old common sense. So let's get going here at the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com. Welcome to the Better Sundays podcast. Focused, practical, and usable advice for church leaders looking to reach new young families and impact their community. Howdy. Mike Holmes in studio here. It is so good to be back. I've been away from my studio for a while. It's good to be back in my surroundings here, my digs as we call it. The place where I get to spend time with you, and I'm glad that you are here. I am the founding pastor here at Sinclair Baptist Church, and we have a ton of young families at our church, and we have them here because of this one word, and I'm going to give you that word in just a second. Now, your church service, and that's what we're going to focus on, is something that is so important for young families. It is a gift to them. There's nothing like the local church service. In other words, when people come and it's refreshing, it's different than work, it's different than television, it's different than entertainment, taking your kids to soccer practice. It is a new and totally different thing for young families. And because it is that gift, that refreshing, wonderful thing, there's something, a piece of it that makes it so powerful that they will keep coming back and back and back and back. And here is the one word. Well, before I get to the one word, let me tease you just a little bit. There's a lot of things. Music. A lot of people think it's music, and young people today listen to a lot of different kind of music than the kind I grew up on. That's for sure. But we're not talking about fancy hipster type of music. We're talking about one other thing. Some people think it has to do with the just all the preaching and the content of the preaching. And believe me, that is extremely important. And we are going to talk about preaching specifically to young families and how to do that, but that's another podcast. Another thing, people think it has to do with, all the kids programs and all that type of stuff, and those are important as well. We will talk about those, but let me give you the word for your church service that you need to have. Your church service for young families needs to be engaging. It needs to have a level of engagement to it. Maybe use the word participation. And I'm not talking about like everyone speaking out loud or, people standing up and doing things, that type of participation. But I'm talking about that they are connected with you. You're here, they're here, and it's you are connected and got things going. Now, I want to give you some things that will help your church to be engaging. And we created a really nice little handout called For Better Engagement, Blueprint for Better Engagement. There's a couple sheets to it here, and you can get that for absolute free. I'll give you the address. It's reachkeep.com/engagement. You just go there. We'll shoot that off to you. In fact, it pops up right on your screen instantly, and you'll be able to see some of the things that have to do with engagement. But I want to talk about what is going on here in a person's mind. When people when they watch a movie, they sit and it's passive. When they, do the soccer thing or watch their kids, they're excited because their child is out there and they kind of living vicariously through them and kind of imagining themselves out there. But when you have a church service, a dynamic, robust church service with good singing and announcements that are filled with passion, that type of stuff, you are creating something in their mind that they feel that they can be a part of. This is something they can grab hold of. They're not going to play soccer with their kid. They can never be a movie star. They're not going to do all the other entertainment things. They're not going to be involved. But this is something that they can engage in. And I'm going to give you a couple ways to get them engaged. Some just real simple ways. And I mentioned announcements. Make sure your announcements are passionate and that you really put effort into them. You don't have to get all fancy with them, but don't think your announcements are a waste of time. Pastor, your preaching is what you believe, but your announcements are what you're doing about what you believe. They're absolutely essential that you let people know that you have action behind your preaching, and that's why we are doing this at the park, or doing this next Saturday, or doing this 2 weeks from now. Your announcements are very important. But participation is one of those things where you can get them involved. So let me give you a couple of them, very simple. And this is sort of part of your announcements, but there needs to be, at your church, when new families come, there needs to be some level in your service of ways that they can step in and get involved. There needs to be sign-ups of some level. There needs to be projects or events where they can come and maybe bring something, or come and help, or do something. Young families in this day and age are passionate about volunteerism. They want to get their kids involved. They don't want their kids to sit idly by. They want their kids to do stuff, and want to do stuff with their kids. And so if they can come and help with a food ministry, or help with a cleaning up project, or go to the park and do something, or they can help, make Kool-Aid for the VBS or whatever. Don't make it so hard for people to volunteer in your church. Don't make it they have to be through a membership class and this, that, and the other thing. There's levels where that's important for teaching, etc. But make your church have sign-ups and activities where they can get involved almost every single Sunday. They need to have something like that. The second one here is what we call put some Monday in your preaching. In other words, your Sunday morning message is going to have something that goes beyond Sunday. It's like, come back on Tuesday, we're going to be doing this that I just preached about. Come back on midweek, and we're going to study this in more depth that I just preached about. But next Saturday, we're going to be applying this in this way. But you need to put some Monday in your preaching, because young families are looking for participation outlets. They are looking for engagements. Very important to do that. And it takes a lot of thought to make all that happen. And by the way, if you're the kind of pastor that studies your message and pulls it all off on Saturday night at midnight or whatever, these things are difficult to do. And if you're struggling with sermons and not having planned ahead and some of that, I can do some coaching with you. I work with pastors every single week and coach them on how to get Mondays in their sermons, how to put application in their sermon, how to do sermon series, how to think ahead, and how to make the preaching relevant for young families. And if you need some coaching, you want to talk about that, go to reachkeep.com, and right at the top, there's a green bar at the top, and it give you a free coaching time. I'll talk with you. In fact, I've got one I'm talking with here, pastor, in just a few, when we get done doing this recording. In fact, I'll be talking with the pastor. So please give me a click there. Click on that green bar and sign up, and we'll talk for a half hour, an hour about your particular needs there. So the idea here is participation. So get some sign-ups, put some Monday in your preaching. You got to think all that through. And then the last one here is just so important for participation, and there needs to be more relational time in our services. And I'm talking about this whole service from kind of when you come to when you leave. And so there's kind of a beginning, about a time before the actual service starts, before your first song, if you do it that way, and after your preaching is over. So you work those things. In other words, have all your stuff done, Pastor, so you can get out there and meet those people in that 10, 15 minutes before. If they come early, you ought to be able to meet those people, connect with them, get to know them a little bit. Make sure that you are around at the end to be able to talk with them. Don't stand by the door and usher everybody out the door. Just tell people you're available for questions and answers or whatever information they need, and you'll be standing right in the middle of the auditorium, or right by the back wall, or by the table, or over by the drinking fountain. Pick a spot, but don't make it right by the door, because we don't want people to leave, because they're looking for relationships. They want to stay, they want to talk, they want to find out what you're all about. So part of this engagement participation has to do with this. So be available there for question and answer after the service. Have a longer handshaking time than normal. Okay, you cannot start a relationship when the piano's playing just like one half of a verse and everyone turns around and shake hands. Hi, good to see you here. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. That's not relational. Okay, in fact, it's almost fake. It's almost like I got to smile, say hi to people, but I don't even have time to get your name or find out where you're from, or if you're a visitor and new in the community, I can't find anything. You need a song or two for handshaking time. Talk to me about that. We'll talk coaching about some of that. Click on that green bar. And the last thing here is make sure that you are available, okay? Mentally available. Sometimes pastors have so much pressure coming up to their message that, again, they don't get out there and talk. And then afterwards, they're so burdened and filled with heavy things that they don't have time to talk. But make sure that you change your format so that you become available. Don't become, some aloof type person. Be relational with your people and make sure you have time to do that. If you want young families, okay, sometimes you got to do young family things, and young families get together and talk and talk and talk. I mean, they just spend time talking all the time. That's one of their things they do. Relationships are so important. And they're very important because a lot of people have been hurt relationally because there's, step this and step that, divorce here and broken this and broken that. And so they need relational stuff. And your church service, that hour or two on a Sunday morning when people come, is an absolute breath of fresh air. It's an absolute gift to these people that they need to have, and we need to make that the very best we can. So if you would like this sheet on engagement, that's reachkeep.com/engagement. And then also, if you need help with your sermon series or some of these things we just talked about, please set up a coaching call. It's real easy. You click on the green bar. It just goes to calendar, and it picks a slot where I'm available, and we'll get on the phone together. Actually, we'll Zoom is what we do. We do a lot of them by Zoom. But I am here for you. And I appreciate you guys taking time to listen to this. This is so important. This is the one thing that really makes a huge difference, is when we get that participation, that engagement, that interlocking that goes on with young families. So let's do what we can to make that happen. And we will do all we can to keep pushing this stuff out to you. So if this has been helpful, give us a thumbs up. We appreciate that. Hit the share button. Share this with another pastor. And we will see you the next time here at the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com.